My feet look really dirty. They're not. Oh,
What kind of rollers do you guys have?
show off your rollers, folks.
Show off your roller time.
Excellent. Everyone's well prepared. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is a really fun and informal charge event with myself, Coach Smith, and our very own Coach Amy. We're going to do our rolling clinic today. We have lots of participation here, which is great. We just asked about experience as well. Sounds like there's a lot of folks that have done rolling before. So most likely there are a lot of questions that we can answer today. A lot of misconceptions out there and a lot of subtleties, but rolling is definitely something that you can add to your running as a support to your running. And that's really the whole reason we're here. We're improving our recovery with our rolling. So we're going to get into it here. I'll do some demonstrating and Coach will be calling out some moves. Hopefully you guys can add those to your repertoire.
All right, you guys should all be able to see Coach Lindsay now. So basically, to get started rolling, guys, we're going to start at the bottom of our feet. So we really start close down to our ankles. And maybe we should talk really quickly, Coach, about why we do this before maybe we get into it. So if you want to start there about the why, and then I'll throw in my side too.
Totally. What I've always known about rolling is at its most basic, it's going to help you with your recovery. How exactly does it do that? Well, when we run, there's a lot of gunk in between our muscles, as a technical term there, gunk. And that gunk gets in between the fibers of our muscles. And what we're doing when we're rolling is we're working out some of that gunk. It's natural body material. And we're working it out of the muscles and then into our lymph node system so that it can get carried away with the rest of our body systems. And what that does for your running directly is it loosens up that muscle again and allows you to run a little bit more freely. You get a wider range of motion. You think about your own running motion, whether it's your arms or your legs, you want to be able to have a good, clean, easy movement so that you can run freely.
So that was a great explanation, and a little bit more technical term for the gunk is fascia. It's called fascia. So fascia is what is lining our bodies, and it's a layer that's underneath our skin, but it covers our muscles, it covers our joints and our bones, it covers everything. It's just that layer that's right underneath the skin, and it's called fascia. And that fascia builds up and gets in between all of our joints and all of our tendons and ligaments, and it makes everything just not move as comfortable. As we age, it builds up more. So not saying you have to roll more when you get older, but it takes a little bit longer to get going. I mean, I know that, we all know it takes a little bit more to get going. So we have to take care of that by rolling. So what was I saying? Yes, fascia. Okay, so this coach that I know, he's full of analogies, and I always like to quote him because he gives some great analogies. But he talks about rolling just like brushing your teeth. So, we brush our teeth every day because we don't want to have stank breath, but we also do it because we want to get all the cavity, all the plaque off of our teeth, right? All the plaque that builds up on our teeth and causes cavities. We want to remove all the food from our teeth so we don't get, our teeth don't rot out. And rolling is just like that for our muscles. So if we take a few minutes to roll our muscles, it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to roll for 30 minutes or an hour every day. You can do some longer sessions sometimes and some really short, quick stuff just to roll the fascia out. But if we do that every day, then we are just really helping our muscles stay lubricated, stay just free to move. So think about it like that. If you find yourself going a week or so without rolling and you're feeling tight and just not like you can move comfortably, then you probably, one of the first questions I always ask my runners when they tell me they're not feeling great, I'm like, are you rolling? And they're like,
no. And they're probably like, no, coach.
They're usually saying no, or they'll say, "Oh, I did it, a week ago or something." So
Right.
you're starting to feel that tightness, those niggles that tend to pop up. Then spend some time with your roller. That's the best first step.
So I want to jump us right in here. We've got a good why down. I hope that answers a lot of people's questions right off the bat, both my description and Coach Amy's description. So now I want to jump into some of the how. Feel free, folks, to start rolling. We're going to do some basics here, starting super slowly. Coach described this a little bit. We want to be rolling our muscles too. We do not roll our bones or shin splints, generally speaking. So that's kind of another thing to think about. Our target is muscles in our body, just as Coach mentioned, in the fascia area. So we can start with our roller, whatever it looks like, whatever the size. Coach mentioned starting at the bottom of our bodies towards our feet, just below the calf muscle. You can place that roller, and really what you're doing is placing your leg and foot on top of the roller. And we're going to use gravity to start things off. And so the first move that I usually like, and again, remember, there are lots of ways of doing this for those out there thinking, well, how am I supposed to do it? There are some ways that are more correct than others, but there's a lot of range in there. So we're going to start with this position that you can see up front, just one leg on top of the roller. And then what I'm going to do in the back here with both of my arms is just lift myself off the ground. And already I've started to use that gravity, and I'm just going to start to slowly roll in the front of, well, it's the back of my leg, but all in front of myself. Keep everything in front of me, in front of the chest area, and you can watch how your muscles respond to that roller.
You're probably going to feel some.
Coach is going to take us through some more specifics.
You're probably going to feel some tightness. You're going to feel some areas that are tighter than others. So when you find that spot, I usually have pretty tight spots in my calves. I find that you don't want to go all the way up. So we're really just doing the bottom half of our calf right now. So you find that spot. Coach Lindsay's going to find it. He's like, oh, there it is. There it is, Coach. Okay. So he's going to stop there for a second. And what he's going to do is just focus on this one point. So he's going to do 4 things that help him remember how to go through this process. The first one is called wheels on the bus. So he's going to just rotate right in that spot that's tight. You're going to rotate his foot around. You can feel that knot kind of working out. It kind of slips on and off the roller a little bit, and he's going to go back the other way. So wheels on the bus here, back the other way. Now Coach is up off the mat, and you can sit down a little bit here too if that feels better. You're going to go, if you sit down, you're going to take some of your body weight off. If it's not quite enough pressure, you pick yourself up and put that other leg on top. So you're getting a little bit more of your body weight into that spot. So you've done wheels on the bus. The next one is windshield wipers. So you're going to go back and forth on that same spot where you feel that tightness, just back and forth, just like a windshield wiper a few times. Okay, then the next one he's going to do is he's going to hit the brakes. So Coach, hit the brakes just like you're in the car. You're just going to kind of push forward right into that brake pedal. Okay, do that a few times. Come back into that spot. And the last one is you're just going to tap on the gas. You're just going to push down on the gas. And you're really going to feel that's going to really kind of digging into that muscle and loosening it up, loosening up all the fascia around it so your muscle can move more freely. Okay, so once you've done those 4, then you just start rolling up the second half of your calf. So you did the bottom half. Now we're going to do the second half, the middle between your, knee before you get to your knee. Same thing here. Some people are going to have, some areas that are tighter than others. So if this part doesn't really, if you're not finding any spots, that's a good thing. And then Coach finds that spot and he's going to do the same thing. Wheels on the bus, both directions. Then hit the tap of the, or excuse me, brakes first.
Yep.
Brakes first, and then tap on the gas. Did I say windshield wipers?
Oh, I got to do that one.
So wheels on the bus, windshield wipers, hit the brakes, and then tap on the gas. And there's certainly other ways that you can do these, you know, mimic these little movements, but this is just a good way to remember it, because sometimes it's hard to remember these things.
I love coaches' descriptions of those moves. I also feel like they're great for kids too, but just generally like remembering what the heck I'm supposed to do when I'm on there. Just remember that bus routine, and you're pretty much going to get all of the movements around the muscle. Like if it's right there for me right now, I'll be able to move that muscle around with Coach Amy's direction there, wheels on the bus, tapping the gas and the brakes, so that I can work out that fascia from the muscle tissue. That's again why we're doing this. I've got some tightness up at the top.
Moving up a little bit. So you're finding that next spot. Now on your hamstrings, you're kind of going up on the other side of your knee. And you're not going to really find a lot of tight spots per se in your hamstrings. It's not really like your calves or your quads where you're going to have a lot of tight spots that may be a little bit sore. So you can just kind of roll through that. May feel really good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
So here, generally speaking, again, just speaking to my own experience, it's different for everyone, but your quad muscles, generally speaking, are bigger. They're a little denser maybe and stronger. And so you often have to get pretty good at this. So it might go off the screen there. I like to talk about the skill of rolling because, again, in terms of misconceptions, and, you know, we get a lot of questions as coaches like, well, how do I do it? And people feel like they either can do it or they can't. But actually, there's a progression of skill. I'm definitely a lot better at rolling now than I was years ago, which might sound like a funny thing to get good at. But you can see I'm doing a combination here of some of the things we talked about. I'm on the quad muscle. It's a little bit thicker and it's harder to get into the center of it really by pressing. So I'm putting the leg on top, and then I'm also tipping essentially windshield wiper here to my right and then rolling into it to find that pain. So that's like 3 little steps there, 3 moves.
And he means hamstring, guys, not quad. He's on the hamstring.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. And then I'm going after it. So
going after it. That feels good. Oh. You have any kind of hamstring issues, then you definitely want to roll them. You want to roll them more than stretch them if you're having any kind of tight or sore hamstrings. Don't do a lot of overly stretching your hamstrings, guys. What you can do is start rolling up into your glutes though. So we'll go there next. You definitely want to roll your glutes. Be careful of your sciatica, and you don't want to have any pinching, you know, as you go up into your glutes. These are really large muscles and they definitely get tight. All right. So you're just going to roll up onto them.
There we go.
Careful that you don't feel any pain. Hey, this is not going to feel awesome. It's probably going to hurt a little bit, but you should never be like, there was a post the other day asking about, is it okay to cry while I'm rolling? You should not be crying when you're rolling. That is too much. If you are, if it hurts that bad, then take some of the pressure off, put one of the feet down or sit your bottom down and roll that way. So you're taking some of the weight off and you're not putting so much weight on directly onto that muscle in the roller.
Right. I think that's a really important point, Coach, especially for those folks who have less experience. If you're finding yourselves a little bit lost, definitely a good guide in terms of the pain is to feel out that sharp pain. If you're getting sharp pain, that's not really a path to go down really at all. You want to have pain in the realm of soreness that we're working out of a muscle. That's our goal.
I like to roll up on my lower back a little bit just because it feels good. Then
Still doing the glute.
Down to the other side, but you really should go back down to the ankle and start with the other leg.
Right.
So actually, but first, we're not going to do the other leg. We're going to flip over and do one leg at a time. I like doing that way last time too. So Coach Lindsay's going to flip over and start rolling his quad.
Now we're doing the quad.
Now we're on the quad. Okay, hold yourself up with your elbows just like he's doing. Coach Lindsay, are you using the long one right now? I can't tell. Is that the longer one? So you got both legs on, right?
I am, yep.
Yep. So he's using a longer roller right now. So he's able to put both of his quads onto that roller at the same time. Yours might be a little bit shorter. But that's okay too. If you have the longer version and you can put both legs on there, you're taking some of the pressure off, so you're actually making it a little bit easier because you're putting weight on both legs instead of one. So if you want to really get into that quad, then just roll one at a time and kind of have the other leg hanging off the side of that roller. Of course, that's going to put more body weight onto one leg. So here we have a little bit of thing to remember as well. Coach is going to find that spot that is going to make him yelp a little bit, but not cry. No crying, just a little yelping. Oh, okay, found that spot, right? You're like, oh yeah, that's tight right there. So this is called shake and bake, okay? You're going to get to your spot where you feel it, and then you're going to shake first. You're just going to basically go back and forth with your booty a little bit, side to side, okay? Really getting in there a little bit.
Can everyone see my butt? That's a question.
And then the bake part is you're going to flex your foot and then just start bringing that foot up nice and slow. That's the bake part. So you can feel that muscle kind of twitching around on the roller, and it does hurt a little bit.
It definitely works.
You're kind of just pulling that leg right up through the area that's tight.
And Coach mentioned this, the repositioning is key. If you feel nothing, that's not a bad thing, but you want to feel around, search around for that soreness, and then do the move again, as Coach described. So I haven't seen the chat.
Shake and bake.
Go ahead, Coach.
Are you feeling that shake and bake there, Coach?
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't seen the chat, but if there are questions.
I think everybody's rolling. Nobody's chatting.
Okay.
Hopefully they're not crying. Everybody's feeling good. So once you do the top, roll over onto your side, just like he was doing on the side of his calf. So you're just going to twist your body a little bit and get on the inside of that quad.
I'm going to switch to the shorter one and do one at a time.
See, I'm kind of almost sideways on it now. I don't know if you guys can see me. You probably just see Coach. There he is. There you go. Right down onto the inside of your quad, going almost all the way up to your groin area.
You want to get really familiar with your rollers.
Yep.
Don't be shy.
Okay, do that side real good. Find yourself a little spot there. You can do the same thing here. Shake a little bit and then pull that leg up right through. It's a little harder on the side, but you can do it. Move it around a little bit. Ooh. And then you want to roll to the outside. All right, guys, so when we're getting to the outside of our quad, this muscle along the outside of our leg, it's not a muscle, it's a band. It's our IT band, okay? And there's quad on the top side here, and there's hamstring on the bottom side, okay, that are like surrounding that IT band. So you see Coach Lindsay is going onto the outside of his leg, but he's not all the way on the side, okay, where he's not rolling directly on his IT band. He's gonna stay either just to the outside on where the quad is, or outside top, or underneath outside where the outside of hamstring is. Okay, you don't need to directly roll your IT band. Remember, you want to roll muscles. IT band is not a muscle, it is a band. You can't roll anything out of it. You don't want to put any extra pressure on that IT band. If you're having IT band issues, you need to do some other type of strength and stretching in your glutes to work on that. But you don't want to put the roller directly on the IT band.
Right. And another thing I'll point out as I'm doing this, I want to talk for a second just about the rest of the body, my arms up front. It's not something you'll probably see in the video, but as Coach was mentioning, putting less pressure, especially around that IT band area, you want to just press up into the floor, right? So instead of staying low, you can press back a little bit. It's going to shift the weight down in this area. So again, feel free to do what you need to get into it gently, and then feel out the pain and relieve that pressure slowly.
Awesome.
Take a break.
So we've pretty much done one leg, right? Got anything else on that one leg you want to hit, Coach?
I don't. The last thing I'll say for the quad, so both sides really, one of my favorite moves while we're in
Same leg, guys. Don't switch to the other leg yet, because we're gonna do a little test here when he's done.
Right. One of my other moves here is to do this scenario. Seems a little bit more advanced. Basically, you're just bringing the front leg over. It just shifts the position of your muscles once again. And I'll keep this foot, the lead foot here, above the ground, and then I'll keep it pointed versus flexed. And then that same move of trying to find the pressure spot all applies, but I've got the foot in front. So, you know, if you're looking for a little bit more, just more moves, there's another one.
All right, guys, so what I want you to do, I'm taking this off here for a second. Let's all stand up. All right, so on the leg that you just rolled, I want you to stand on that one leg, okay, find your balance, okay, and then just hop up and down a little bit. Just see how that feels, okay? You can stop now. Okay, now I want you to stand on the other foot, the one that we did not roll, okay? And I want you to bounce up and down, okay? Just a little bit. I don't know about you, but I can totally tell a difference in the two legs. The one leg is, the one that we rolled is less wobbly. I have more control. It's a smoother bounce. The more that you do it, the more that is going to improve too. Could you guys tell a difference there? Thumbs up on those two legs. How about you, Coach?
Definitely. The range of motion is a lot less. Things are a little tender on the non-rolled side. So, and again, this is what you're going to experience running. Like, again, just another note about why we get into this. Just from personal experience, I know that when I do rolling prior to a run, I definitely feel a lot looser. I often roll after to loosen up the sore muscles, because we know that we get tighter after the running work. And so that can be, again, part of your workflow. I try to get people into the mindset of like building the rolling into your entire day, whether you like to have a coffee and do it in the morning, or you like to go for your run in the morning and then later at night you're watching your favorite show and doing it. Think about how you can position yourself to do the rolling in a situation that works for you, and work it in. Make the time for it rather than just having the time.
So we did one leg, so you guys should be getting started on that other leg. Go ahead and do that, and then I have a couple of rollers that I want to show you guys just to kind of give you an idea of some different roller ideas, because I have a bunch of cool ones. And then you can also let us know if you have any questions. Okay, so you guys saw a lot of us have these. This is my foam roller. Okay, this right here is very similar to what Coach Lindsay is on, except for mine has foam and his is just a PVC pipe. We went through
Coach,
this last time.
I think we still got me.
Cool. So, Coach, tell us about your PVC pipes.
Oh, sure, I can. After this, we'll switch the camera back to you. So the PVC pipes, we did this last class. I present kind of the cheap and easy versions of the rollers. These are PVC pipes from Home Depot. It's definitely a low budget solution. They're not necessarily meant for rolling, but you know, I run a lot, as we all do, and I'm looking for something that works the muscle quite a bit more deeply. There are lots of rollers out there of all different price ranges. Coach Amy's got a lot of them that are awesome, and they do different specialized things. These ones are a little bit more straightforward. I literally got these cut at Home Depot from the same pipe, And this small one I take usually to races. When we're all still racing, I can throw it in the bag because it's nice and small, and then show up and do, you know, one side of the body and then the other right before the gun goes off. So all different scenarios, that's what I use. I think we'll also get into talking about lacrosse balls when we're ready for that. But that's what I got going.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a bunch. First of all, I showed you guys this one. This is honestly, guys, out of everything that I have, this is the one that I use the most. And this is probably one of the least expensive ones that I have. This was, I think, like 20 bucks on Amazon. So then I have this one, which I actually really like as well. This is probably my second most used one. This is a quad baller from Trigger Point, and very similar to those other rollers, guys. You just do the same thing. It's a little bit harder to get to your quads, actually, which is interesting because it's called a quad baller. But it really gets in a little bit deeper than the foam roller because it's not foam. It's a little bit harder material. So I really like that for rolling. Let's see what else I have. Fun stuff here. This is a R8 recovery roller. And this
I'm super jealous.
Awesome, but it's also a little bit painful. So what you do is you pull on the handles here, you roll it on, and then you can roll both sides at one time. So, and it gets in so deep. I mean, you can just move it all around. I like this because I don't have to sit on the floor. So if I want to sit on the couch or on a chair, I just don't want to get down on the floor. If I want to get a really deep roll, it gets in a lot deeper even than the foam roller. Another thing this does, I like to put where my hip joint is, and I'll bring it up onto my glute. I tend to have a lot of hamstring issues, which comes from my glutes most of the time. So I roll my glutes a lot, and this gets all the way in there. So that's a good one. I think this one's like $90 to $100 or something. Then I have the old trusty stick roller. You guys have seen these before. These are great for just like little stuff. Oh, here's a good one that's for. So shin splints. If you get a lot of shin splints and you need to roll out or stretch out the top of the shin, obviously we're not going to roll on our shin bone, but go right to the side of it. And there's this little meaty part next to our shins. This is a really good tool to roll that. Other than that, this is good, but it doesn't get into your muscles nearly as much as a good old regular foam roller. So that, I have this, which I like. So this you can get in to like specific little spots, and it's just you put it on your hand. It's got these little balls on it, and you can roll. I like to do my calves with these. Okay, you can also do your feet. You can just put them down and stand on them. So these are good for feet. Of course, if you have a partner, this is good for her back. That's nice. And then this one I think is super cool. I just got this for my birthday a couple weeks ago from a couple of my friends. They know I love all these rollers. So this is a collapsible roller. So you see how thin it is. You pull out on the strings and you have a roller. So this will be my travel roller. I keep it in my bag that's in my car as well. So if I'm going to go do a long run somewhere else, which I often do, I don't often just leave my house for a long run. I drive somewhere else. So I can really easily take this, throw it in my bag, and take it with me. Right. And it has a little carrying case and everything too. So super cool.
I love that, Coach. Those are some great descriptions. And I love too, again, the concept of just like finding ways to get it done. Coach has that one that you can also throw in your bag, whether it's size or portability. Again, I want to just encourage the idea of finding ways to embrace the rolling so that it's always supplementing your running. You heard us talk like probably about half an hour ago about our runners asking us what to do a little bit better, or saying, well, I'm sore and I don't feel great. Have you been rolling? No. Try to make it so that when someone asks you have you been rolling? Yes, I have been. I'd rather have, questions about how to do it than, that absence. Once you get away from it, it starts to affect your running.
Definitely does. So I think Coach had talked about the lacrosse ball. That was the one other
yeah.
thing that we could talk about.
Totally. I'm ready.
My hand roller. Hold on. Robin said, where did I get my hand roller? So this one, Robin, is this one you mean? You can get this at pretty much any running store. You can get it on Amazon. This is very accessible. If you have a running store open, they always, or did you mean this one? This one? I think I got this at a running store too. This one's cool. I'm not sure exactly which one you're talking about, but both of those I got at the running store. Frequent flyer, First Place Sports.
Nice.
All right, go ahead with the lacrosse ball, Coach.
So this is a lacrosse ball. It's probably about 2.5 inches wide. It's made of dense rubber. You can see it bounces a little bit, so it's a tiny bit of give, but the whole idea here is to get a little bit deeper and get to spots that you can't necessarily get with this roller. Just given the size of it, the radius is probably about 4 inches. It should be 4-inch PVC pipe. And then, like I said, about 2.5, that radius is going to allow you to get to different muscles and different size muscles. So that's the concept here. My favorite move, I'm going to bring in a prop here. Let me know if you guys can see this well. Standard chair and or rigid surface. And then you take the lacrosse ball and then you're placing it in between the muscles where your hamstring is meeting your glute. And now that rigid surface plus gravity is allowing just a pressure, slow pressure into that space where the rollers that we used before just don't really get into there. So that can be a really good stress relief, especially for the specific motion of lifting your leg and knee and forward leg drive. We talk about that all the time on the running app and charge app. When you guys are running, make sure those legs are driving. Well, this is going to allow you to free up all of that fascia in the back here of your big muscles, allowing for a much greater range of motion. And I'll do both sides.
Lacrosse ball, you can. Those are a little bit more sturdy, so to roll on, but you can use a tennis ball as well.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, what do you think? Do you have any questions? Anything specific areas that we didn't cover or anything like that? I'm gonna take you guys off mute here for a second so you can chat with us.
Is the piriformis and the glute the same thing?
The piriformis is a part of your glute. So your glute muscle is a large muscle, and your piriformis is within that glute area muscle. So it's just one part of it. Lots of rolling to do in those glutes.
Did anyone learn anything today that was totally new to them that they might try out?
Oh, the 4-part thing. Once you target a sore muscle, so I've been rolling for a long time, but not necessarily doing all the little fine moving around with my foot to get more muscles. I usually just move the whole leg, but that was helpful.
Yeah.
And those are wheels on the bus.
Wheels on the bus, yes.
Windshield wipers.
Yeah.
Hit the brakes and then tap on the gas.
Tap the gas.
Yes, so those are really good. So.
And then don't forget the quad side. So you've got the shake and bake on the other side. You want to pull that leg up nice and slow.
That was really good too. I could really feel that when I lifted my leg. So that was awesome.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what is that? Oh yeah, I can feel that. That's where it is. Ouch.
Yeah.
I have a question. When it concerns like a race, Coach Smith was saying that he rolls before. How early before the race? Like, is it just like 20 minutes before, or what's the recommended time to do that before a race?
Anytime before.
Okay, like 5 minutes before? I
mean, I will just roll when I leave my house, before I leave my house to go to a race. If I'm driving to a race, I just do it when I wake up in the morning. And that's really just to wake up the muscles and to get them moving. And again, just to get them a little bit more fluid. So you're just moving more comfortably. I mean, if you have a roller that you don't have to get down in a parking lot and roll, if you got a stick roller in your car or something, then sure, roll the muscles for a couple of minutes, right before you lock your car and go to the race start. That can never hurt.
Okay.
That's a great question, Maria. Yeah, I agree with Coach there. There's a lot of newer studies that I don't have them off the top of my head, but also potentially controversial that about stretching versus rolling. I believe, based on what I happen to hear from some fairly informed people, that the rolling can be a little bit better, especially before the run or the race, because it's a way of activating the muscle and getting blood flow without stretching out those tendons and
yeah, you
muscle
guys know
fibers.
that you shouldn't be doing a lot of static stretching before any type of cardio exercise, because our muscles are cold. We don't want to jump into a stretch. I mean, if you're going to do some stretches, a little bit of dynamic stretching is good, but really just going into, you know, rolling first and then doing a little bit of dynamic stuff and then going into a walk and easing into your run, especially before race, you know, is the best way to go. And then you do your static stretching afterwards.
Right. And I will often stretch just in my own life, roll well after, especially a hard run, take the shower, and then, like I said, throw on whatever program or just wife's in the room. So that's enough for me. And I can just be there, and just kind of hang out on it. So definitely get used to it.
Netflix and chill on your roller.
Exactly.
You know, another good thing to do, and a lot of people have heard of this, some people have not, but put your legs up a wall. Roll a little bit and then throw your legs up a wall for 10 minutes. You'll feel the blood coming out of your legs, and it really feels amazing. You can literally fall asleep with your legs, push your butt up against the wall, legs up the wall. Feels really good. Helps with recovery too, really gets the blood flowing in your lower body.
Who else we got? Chris, how we feeling?
Good.
Chris, he's still getting after it. That's what I'm talking about.
Feels good.
Good. Robin, everything went all right?
Yeah, there's that R8.
I have a question. Is there any benefit to rolling with compression socks on, or should you take them off?
I usually do mine on with something on because it hurts your legs a little bit more without it on. So I'll come home after a long run, which I'm always wearing compression for anything that's decently long, and I will roll in my compression socks. I don't know if there's anything scientifically behind that, but I think it feels better physically to roll with something on your legs than just directly on, you know, your legs. But that's probably a personal opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Coach, do you roll in, do you even wear compression socks? I don't think you do.
You know, I used to years ago. I heard, you know, a lot of the talk when it was big about the compression sleeves and calf sleeves versus the full sock, where you're trying to have the compression sleeve, the ones that stop at the ankles here, though you can have those on a lot more, and you're not necessarily wanting to run or roll with the full sock on. But then I've heard everyone's different. You know, everyone's got different results. I do know that they're great for recovery overall in general. So as another tool in your tool belt, if you can find a way to balance your use of the roller and the compression socks or something you already do, I would definitely encourage it, but just add them slowly. Again, I want to just be really careful and sensitive to those folks who want to add these things, but without overdoing it. Just find what works for you and then get into it slowly. We got Coach Laura getting after it. We got Pam getting after it. Good.
Feels good, guys. The more you do it, the less it hurts. It really does. The more you do it, the less it hurts. Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything else you guys want to see?
Michelle, Jessica, everything went okay?
I don't know if you guys.
Yeah. I learned some stuff like the other lady was saying, you know, the 4 different areas, because I usually just suffer through my whole body weight instead of moving around. So that's better.
Okay.
But way better.
No crying.
Good.
No crying.
I won't cry.
Pretty cool. I'll show you guys this before we log off here. So this is called the BFF. My little tool here. It's basically, it looks like a car buffer, except for it's a muscle buffer, and it feels amazing. Oh my gosh, if you have not ever tried this at a race expo, you'll see it hopefully one day. It's probably really loud, but.
Coach has got all the toys. I love it.
Pam, you have one, don't you?
Yes, that's my absolute favorite.
so awesome. This thing is amazing. And honestly, this right here, I don't think it's as much as it used to be, but I think it's probably around $200 or something. But you can buy a car buffer from Lowe's and get a soft pad and put it on there. It does exactly the same thing for like 30 bucks. Same exact thing. Right. It feels stinking amazing. It's so good. Lots of toys.
Whatever it takes. Valerie, everything came across okay?
Yes.
Great, great. So I love that you guys are here. I love that you guys are using us as a resource, and I love personally doing these more personal, informal meeting sessions. This is awesome.
For being here, guys. We'll go ahead and shut it down. If you have any other questions or anything, you can let us know individually. We'll post this link if you want to watch it later or share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. That was really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
I love
you.
those.
So